Bismillah Rahman Rahim and Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to HHS online class. Dear student, this is Ms. Sumaira Qureshi from Happy Home School as your teacher. I am delighted to welcome you all to our first online science class. I hope you all are doing good and utilizing your time effectively at home. So children, our topic for today is very interesting and important. Let's start our class for today. Before starting the topic, let's discuss some online class rules that I expect you all to follow. Punctuality is key. For every class, you must sign in on time. Children, find yourself a quiet place to attend this class. Focus on the screens in front of you. Listen to the lesson carefully. You may raise your hand if you want to say or ask something. So children, our topic for today is making sounds. What is the first sound you hear when you wake up in the morning? It could be anything. Let me repeat my question. What is the first sound you hear when you wake up in the morning? It could be anything, like ringing of an alarm clock, chirping of birds, your mother's voice to wake you up. So children, we hear different sounds in our surrounding, which helps us in many ways. For example, alarm helps us to get up on time for school. So children, we all wake up by hearing the sounds that we are surrounded by. Sound is very important. Could you please tell me which part of your body is responsible for your sense of hearing? Yes, very good. Our ears are responsible for hearing sounds around us. Allah has blessed us with 2 ears, and our ears are responsible for hearing sounds around us. Now let's go further into understanding how these sounds work. What is sound and how does it work? Sound is a form of energy made by vibrations. I repeat, sound is a form of energy made by vibrations. We hear different types of sounds from different sources. We hear different types of sounds from different sources. For example, lion, dinosaur. Let's take another example. Can you all clap with one hand? Children, can you all clap with one hand? Let's give it a try. No, because sound is always produced with the help of two objects. Sound is always produced with the help of two objects. So children, sound is a form of energy made by vibrations. When any object vibrates, it causes movement in the air particles. These particles bump into the particles close to them. When any object vibrates, it causes movement in the air particles. These particles bump into the particles close to them, which produce sound waves. Which then can be heard by our ears. Very good. So, when any object vibrates, it causes movement in the air particles. These particles bump into particles close to them, which produce sound waves. And this sound wave can be heard by our ears. Let's explore different sounds. When we clap harder, it produces a loud sound. When we clap harder, it produces a loud sound. But when we clap softly, it produces a quiet sound. But when we clap softly, it produces a quiet sound. So children, sounds can be loud and quiet. Can you guess what sounds do these animals make? Can you guess what sounds do these animals make? The sound that an elephant makes is trumpet. The sound that a cow makes is moo. The sound that a mouse makes is squeak. The sound that a cat makes is meow. I repeat, the sound that an elephant makes is trumpet. The sound that a cow makes is moo. The sound that a mouse makes is squeak. The sound that a cat makes is meow. Can you make any one of them? Meow. Very good. Children, do you know that animals that hunt have very quiet feet because they have soft pads? Animals that hunt have very quiet feet because they have soft pad. Can you see it? They try to get as close as they can before the other animals hear them. They try to get as close as they can before the other animal hears them. So children, sounds change when we move closer or further away. Sounds change when we move closer
or further away. Let's take an example. They both can hear each other clearly. Can you tell me why? Because they are close to each other. They both can hear each other clearly as they are close to each other. But see, this kid is standing quite far away. So he will not be clearly heard by those two children. Can you tell me why? Because he is standing far from them. He will not be clearly heard by those two children because he is standing far from them. Children, do you know that most animals make sounds to talk to each other? Most animals make sounds to talk to each other. For example, birds sing to pass on information. Birds sing to pass on information. Some make noises to warn of danger. And some frighten other animals. Some make noises to warn of danger. For example, dog barks in case of a threat and informs us about the intruder. Dog barks in case of a threat and informs us about the intruder. A fire alarm warns us in case of a fire. A fire alarm warns us in case of a fire. Children, musical instruments make a pleasant sound, which is called music. We all love to play music, and we all love to listen music as well. Musical instruments make a pleasant sound, which is called music. For example, flute and trumpet. When we blow air inside a trumpet or flute, particles vibrate and a sweet melody is produced in form of a sound. I repeat, when we blow air inside a trumpet or flute, particles vibrate and a sweet melody is produced in form of a sound. Human can only hear some sounds. Do you know that a sea sponge does not make any sound? Sea sponge does not make any sound. Children, there are some sounds that indicate an emergency being caused. What are they? Yes, ambulance, police car, and fire truck. Wailing of sirens from the following vehicle. Children, what kind of an emergency situation would an ambulance deal with? I repeat, what kind of an emergency situation would an ambulance deal with? Yes, it carries the patients or injured to hospital. Very good. It carries the patient or injured to hospital. Ambulance siren indicates the health care emergency. Ambulance siren indicates the health care emergency. What kind of an emergency would police mobile look into? What kind of an emergency would police mobile look into? Police siren indicates that an emergency situation is somewhere. Police siren indicates that there is an emergency situation somewhere. Children, what kind of an emergency would fire truck help with? What kind of an emergency would fire truck help with? Yes, firefighters help in putting out fire. Very good. Fire siren indicates the fire emergency in an area. Fire siren indicates the fire emergency in an area. So children, we communicate through sound. We express our feelings through sound. For example, excellent work. Good job. Wow. Awesome. Lovely. Thank you. Please. Hello. These are all feelings, and we used to express ourselves by using sound. We talk and express ourselves by using sound. We hear and listen to others with the help of sound. So children, sound is very important for us. We can hear and make different sounds as well. How many sounds can you make? I repeat, how many sounds can you make? Very good. Clapping, coughing, whistling, laughing. So children, we can make many sounds. If a metallic plate falls down, we can not only hear its sound, but we can also see it vibrating. The sound stops once the vibration stops. So children, if a metallic plate falls down, we can not only hear its sound, but we can also see it vibrating. The sound stops once the vibration stops. Now children, I would like to share with you all a very informative video and an interesting science experiment as well.
Cover your eyes for a moment and just listen. What do you hear? I hear my chemistry set bubbling and squeaks. Is that you? Sounds are all around us all the time. There are so many of them, and we call sounds by a lot of different names. Like if a sound is really loud and kind of unpleasant, like when there's a lot of traffic going by, we sometimes call it noise. And if a sound is made by an instrument like a piano or a ukulele, we call it a note. And we call lots of notes together music. And some words are kind of like the sounds themselves. Like when fireworks go boom, popcorn pops, and bells go ding-a-ling. It doesn't matter what makes a sound though. All sounds are made the same way, through vibrations. When something vibrates, it moves back and forth really fast. So fast, in fact, that our eyes often can't see it moving. But other parts of our body can sense vibrations, and I bet you know what parts those are. That's right, our ears. So how does sound get from, say, a bell to our ears? The air all around us is made of tiny particles, and these particles are what carry sound. We can use marbles to demonstrate the teeny tiny particles that make up the air. Let's see how. If we put a few marbles together so they're touching, then roll another marble so that it crashes into them, the group of marbles will move. That's kind of what happens with sound. When we ring a bell, we cause the metal that makes up the bell to vibrate really fast back and forth. And the vibration of the bell also shakes up the particles that make up the air around it and makes them vibrate. Then those particles run into the air particles next to them, and so on. You can also think about it like dominoes, with the vibration getting passed along from one bunch of particles in the air to the next. We call this path of vibration a wave. Now, how do we hear those vibrations? If we could look deep inside our ears, we'd see a special little part that kind of looks like the top of a drum. When sound waves make it all the way to and into our ears, they make this part of our ear vibrate. The vibrations keep going, moving even deeper into our ear until they finally get to the spot that sends a message to our brain. And that message says, "Hey, we're hearing something!" Now, who's ready to make some vibrations? We can make a kind of musical instrument that will help us to see the vibrations that we make. All we need is an empty can, like a coffee can, and a rubber band that's just big enough to stretch around the can from its top to its bottom. Stretch the rubber band over the top of the coffee can, and ta-da! We have an instrument, one that's kind of like a guitar. Let's pluck the rubber band gently. Does it make a sound? It sure does. And if we look very, very closely, we can see that the rubber band is moving back and forth. When we pull on the rubber band and let it go, we're causing it to vibrate. These vibrations travel into the air, making the air particles move through the air to our ears in a sound wave. If we pull kind of gently, the sound is kind of soft. But if we pull a little harder, the sound gets louder. And if we grab the rubber band while it's moving and stop it from vibrating, we also stop the sound. Hey, we made some pretty good vibrations. So whenever you hear a sound, you know that something, somewhere, is vibrating. And those vibrations are traveling through the air and into your ears. So thanks to all of you who asked us how sound works. And make sure to check back every week to learn more science with Squeaks and me, and we'll see you next time.
Hey everyone, it is Danielle from Cool Science Experiments headquarters. I have a great science experiment for you today. We are going to hear sound, but we're also going to see sound.
How is that possible?
That is a great question, and I'm going to show you in just a minute. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's get started. To start the experiment, you're going to begin with an empty bowl. Then you're going to take some saran wrap and you're going to tear off a piece so it's big enough to cover the top of the bowl. You're going to take the saran wrap and you're going to place it on top of the bowl. You're going to make sure the saran wrap is very tight on the bowl. The most important thing with the saran wrap is that you get it very tight across the top of the bowl. So take your time when you're positioning it. Once you have it tight, you're ready to move on to the next step. This is where you're going to take some uncooked rice and you're going to pour about a teaspoonful on the top of the saran wrap. Once the rice is on the saran wrap, you're going to take a metal tin. You can use a cookie sheet, or in my case, it's an 8x11 pan, and you're going to position it close to the bowl. The important thing is that you're holding it in the air, and that again, that it's very close to the bowl itself. Now, I'm going to give my son a metal spoon, and what he's going to do is he's going to hit the metal plate, metal tin, and we are going to hear the sound, and we're also going to see something happen.
children, I hope you have understood what I have taught you today. Children, read the chapter thoroughly from the book, page number 66 to page number 80. Thank you. Take care of yourself and those who are around you. Stay safe. Stay home. See you next time. Allah Hafiz.